Hi, it's Glaive here. How's it going? Huge news today. I really need a haircut. Jesus, look at that. Even bigger news today. I need to be more careful what I wish for because we finally got the roadmap. Kind of. And there's a lot to talk about. Yesterday, we got our Christmas gift from AGS, and while they're not calling it a roadmap, let's be real, let's call it what it is. It is a roadmap of the biggest releases for New World in the first half of 2024, more specifically, February until May 2024. And while there's some great feature and quality of life updates on there which look really encouraging, it also looks incredibly light on content. So let's take a look. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying thank you AGS for releasing this. There's nothing worse than a vacuum. Vacuums are filled by speculation, they're filled by rumor. By releasing something like this, good or bad, it manages our expectations. We know what to be hopeful for, we know what to look forward to, we know what we are and are not getting. So thank you. The very first thing that we're looking at, of course, is Crossworld expeditions and an improved group finder. Now, this should have come with Season 4, which we are now in. It's coming still in Season 4, but a little bit later along, and thus it's made it onto the roadmap. Now, one thing to note, again, as I've already said, this roadmap covers February until May of 2024. I was hoping we'd get the Crossworld expeditions and improved group finder maybe in January. Would have been lovely, but given that this is very specifically February until May, I would say that we're probably getting this in February. Do you know what? My birthday is in February, so if you could get it to us before the 11th, let's call it a birthday present and we'll call it even. In all seriousness, this is really going to improve the quality of life for PvE players. It is a bit of a nightmare at the moment because yes, there's a group finder, but you do queue for ages. You can only queue for one particular lobby and everybody has their own lobby. So much like with Outpost Rush, to be able to click and boom, you're in, it's going to be great. There are going to be additional rewards for more valuable roles, i.e. tanks and healers. There's going to be, I believe, a random button, so a roulette system, much like Final Fantasy XIV, and there will be extra rewards for clicking on that and helping out other teams. It sounds like it's really going to make expeditions and dungeon running significantly easier and significantly less painful to do. It's a huge quality of life. We should have had it already. We're getting it now. I just wish it was sooner than February. Next up, we have the season trial, the Winter Rune Forge. So this season trial, much like the hatchery, is being described as a 10-man. It's being described as mechanic rich. It's also been described by Dave in the video as taking 10 to 15 minutes to do once you know the mechanics. That's going to be important as we start to talk more about the lack of content that's actually in this. So in terms of rewards, they want the rewards to be more worthwhile than they were in the hatchery. In order to bump up the value of the rewards, they're going to reduce the number of times that the trial actually gives you those rewards. I believe Dave said between 1 and 3 times per week. So do the maths on that. 1 to 3 times per week at 10 to 15 minutes per run. Even if you've got a bad group and it takes you, 20, 25 minutes, you're looking at an hour's worth of content tops. Now, it does sound fun, it sounds good, and it is replayable, but an hour of gameplay a week, it doesn't sound like a huge amount. Next up, we have Season Pass and rewards. Now, obviously, they're going to do a Season Pass. I firmly believe that they're under-resourced, and I believe that as a division, they need all the money they can get. What I did notice here is that there's actually no mention of Season 5. Now, we know Season 5 is coming. They've mentioned that in the video. I would expect that with Season 5, at minimum, we will get a season quest. We will get, I need to start turning my hand around when I do this, an expedition, I would think, bare minimum. So 2 new pieces of content there. That brings us to 3 thus far. Big one for me, Gamepad support. Now, I've been saying this since they first teased the Gamepad back in early November. They are bringing us Gamepad support, and I have some notes, so excuse the eyeline. Dave says that this will be our version number 1. Now, he's very specific on that. He says it twice. Some people have predicted that Gamepad support means that the May announcement will be a quick console release. I don't think it's going to be a quick console release. If you check out my earlier video back in November when I was talking about this, I think they're going to use PC as the testing ground for controller, get it right, get it balanced, get it responsive, and then look towards console. I do believe console is coming, earliest end of 2024, maybe 2025, probably more likely 2025. Scott also mentions, thankfully, that it's coming with a controller UI as well. So the video I'm talking about, I'll link it in the description below. I talk about controller at length, and I talk about how important the user experience with controller is, and a lot of that hinges on a controller-friendly UI for Gamepad users. It looks like they're doing it. It sounds good to me. Check out the link below if you want to know more about that. Next up, and you can't see it particularly clearly because my face is in the way, but that there is an artifact, and we are getting 8 of them. Now, artifacts are great. I love artifacts, especially the ones that complement my build. I wouldn't call them playable content, okay? So, as I said at the beginning, this particular map is feature rich. It looks like lots of improvements. It looks like lots of mechanics. What it's lacking and what the game is lacking right now is a reason to log in. Replayable content for PvE and for PvP. I'm doing it again. You need both. You need PvE, you need PvP content that is replayable, and not just dungeons and not just one OPR map. We're not seeing a lot of that here. Artifacts are great. I've gone on a little bit of a tangent. I wouldn't consider them playable content. Yes, you have to kill 10 of this and 20 of that to unlock the perks, but, you know, that's not something that's going to keep you logging in over the next 5 or 6 months, is it? Next up, we have main story quest, fully updated. So finally, this was due with Season 4. It was postponed due to... So I think the way they put it is they weren't happy with the experience of the MSQ updates that came with the expansion. They didn't think that these ones were quite there, so they pushed it back. Looks like it's coming next year. That will be the whole main quest fully updated. It's worth saying at this point, and I do want to point out, I'm talking about lack of content, but a fully updated main quest, Crossworld expeditions, and an improved group finder. If you're a new player, if you haven't been here long term, this is going to be a really good time for you to jump in and start playing. The experience is going to be smooth. It's going to be buttery smooth. In fact, I would say it's going to be the experience you should have expected at launch. Next up, and we're nearly there, we have seasonal events. Now, they mention a few. I'm going to go back to my notes again. We get some returning events. Here we go, the usual. Legacy of Crassus, Rabbit's Revenge, and Springtime Bloom will all be coming back. There will also be a new one, Year of the Dragon. That is new content. That is new content number 4, in fact. Now, we know nothing about this yet. I have been told that there is going to be a Forged in Eternum video this Wednesday. Tomorrow, what are we tomorrow? 20th of December. They've already said they're going to talk about Year of the Dragon very, very soon. I kind of think it's going to be tomorrow. I think we'll get some more information there. Keep an eye out for that video. Hopefully that tells us more of what's involved. And finally, again, something I was talking about in November. I've mentioned it in a few videos. I think 2024 is going to be a big year for performance and improvement of the game engine at a foundational, fundamental level. They've confirmed that. So it's going to be all about performance. It's going to be all about bug fixing. And I would imagine that also includes minimizing the number of bugs that are introduced with each and every patch. At the moment, we're in this horrible cycle where if you introduce one thing, another thing breaks. It seems to be that the way the engine is coded, everything is so codependent that you can't add one thing without impacting another. I imagine a lot of these performance and these bug fix improvements are going to try and decouple one system from another. It is ludicrous that, you know, you should be able to introduce a new season and it starts to break everything else. I'd still like my gear back in my house, for example. That shouldn't really happen, and it's the sign of a badly coded engine. They know this, they're working on this. This is a sign that 2024, things are going to get a bit smoother there, as I've said previously. So, this is H1 of 2024. What does it all mean for us? Well, unfortunately, it means we need to have patience. I did predict a roadmap in December, and despite the fact they're not using the R word, this is indeed a roadmap. But it's worth noting, there are things missing. We don't have the seasonal story quest on there, I'm doing it again. We don't have the seasonal expedition on there. They're almost a given at this point. If we don't get those, I'm really going to be in panic mode, but I can't see those being skipped. AGS love Grace O'Malley. They're not going to throw her aside. That might come back to bite me in the arse, I certainly hope not. So realistically, there's a fair bit to talk about on this map, but when you break it all down in terms of reasons to log in, what we're missing is replayable, fresh, new content. And in terms of new content, we're looking at a new season trial for an hour a week, a season story, hopefully, a season expedition, hopefully, a new season, Year of the Dragon. The other seasons are recycled content. They're welcome, don't get me wrong, and they're enjoyable, but let's call them what they are. They're recycled content. We're looking at new. So that puts us at 4 pieces of content for half of a year. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, as I said at the beginning, thank you for giving the roadmap. We really, really needed this roadmap. I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of playable content. We're going to stick around, at least some of us will. I certainly will. But we're going to be lacking reasons to log in. May's announcement needs to be absolutely huge. And if anything else is missed off of here, other than the seasonal story and an expedition, we kind of need that information as well. So yeah, strap in, folks. 2024, the second half, apparently, is going to be epic. The first half is going to be digging deep and remembering why you love the game. One thing that is going to get me logging in a lot is Gamepad support. I find it much more enjoyable playing a game when I'm sat like this rather than hunched over like this. It also puts me in the game more. I feel less detached from it. So even with replayable content that we already have, for me, that's really going to change the experience, and I am stoked for it. There are concerns around aim assist. Again, I'll refer you to the video in the description. It is going to need to be tweaked. There will be times when it's too high. There'll be times when it's too low. It's going to be a lot of trial and error to get that right. We need to give them that feedback and work with them. It's not going to be a one and done, so do not panic. And the more information we can get on that, and the earlier we can get it, the more prepared the community is going to be for that. Now, this is likely going to be my last video before Christmas. Christmas is just around the corner. I will be streaming as usual, apart from on Christmas and Boxing Day. You can find me at the link below. I stream usually Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays UK evening. If you found this video at all informative or helpful, mildly entertaining or distracting or whatever, please consider liking, subscribing, throw us a comment. It'll really help with the algorithm. And until next time, much love. Take care.
Oh, go ask Santa if you want some hippos.